Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something you have absolutely heard of, a concept that's both fascinating and, let's be honest, pretty seductive. The law of attraction. Is it some kind of universal law that's shaping our destiny? Or is it maybe a powerful psychological tool that helps us focus our minds? This idea has been captivating people for well over a century. This quote right here from a pioneer in this space, Thomas Troward, it just gets right to the heart of it. The belief that our thoughts aren't just thoughts. They're like the blueprints, the very starting point for everything we experience in the real world. Okay, let's really get into this. So what is the big promise here? What's the core idea that has made this whole thing so popular for generation after generation? At its heart, the philosophy is actually pretty simple. Like attracts like. The whole belief is that your thoughts and your feelings, they're not just stuck inside your head. Nope. The idea is that they're made of pure energy. They send out a specific vibrational frequency into the universe. And the universe then acts like a giant mirror, sending back experiences that match that same frequency. People who really live by this often boil it down to a pretty straightforward three-step process. First, you've got to get super clear on what you actually want, and then, ask the universe for it. Second, you have to cultivate this deep, unwavering belief that it's on its way. And finally, you just enter this state of allowing. You get ready to receive it when it shows up. Now, this brings us to a really interesting, kind of subtle but powerful twist on the idea, the law of assumption. Some people would say this is a more direct, maybe even a more potent version of the same core concept. Let's see how it builds on that original idea. So this was popularized by a 20th century spiritual teacher named Neville Goddard, and he took things a big step further. He basically said, look, there's no external universe you need to ask for anything. The power isn't out there, it is entirely within you. Your consciousness, your imagination, that's the one and only creative force there is. So, here's the crucial difference, right? It all comes down to where the power is. With the law of attraction, you're kind of like a co-creator. You send out a request, and you wait for the universe to answer. It's all about the future. But with the law of assumption, you are the sole creator. You don't ask for anything. You just embody the feeling of having your wish fulfilled right now. It's the difference between wanting something and deciding you already have it. This whole concept didn't just magically appear in that 2006 documentary. It actually has some surprisingly deep roots in American philosophy and spiritual movements that go back more than 150 years. So its journey really starts way back in the 19th century with the New Thought movement, which was all about this idea of mind over body. Then it got a business makeover in the early 20th century with these huge bestsellers like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. But the real explosion into the mainstream, that happened in 2006 with The Secret, which just took the idea global. And today, well, it's been repackaged for a whole new generation as manifesting, and it is all over social media. Okay, so it's popular, it's been around forever, but that brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? Is any of this actually real, in a scientific sense? Well, advocates often use very scientific-sounding language to explain how it all works. You'll hear words like energy, frequency, and even quantum physics, all to try and bridge that gap between a spiritual belief and our physical reality. So the main argument kind of goes like this. Since everything in the universe, when you get down to the quantum level, is just energy and vibration, your mind can act like a powerful transmitter. The idea is that by changing your mental frequency, you can literally influence the physical world and pull things towards you that are on that same frequency. But this is where the idea runs into a brick wall with the scientific community. The overwhelming consensus is pretty clear. There is no measurable empirical evidence to back this up. In fact, physicists have been very critical, saying that it completely misrepresents what concepts like quantum mechanics are actually about. And this is where things get really, really interesting. I mean, if it's not some universal law of energy, what could possibly explain all those success stories? Why do so many people feel like it works? This is where we have to shift gears, away from metaphysics and into the world of psychology. Okay, so check this out. There's this incredible principle called functional equivalence. All it means is that when you vividly imagine doing something, like an athlete visualizing the perfect shot, your brain activates many of the same neural pathways as if you were physically doing it. This is basically the science behind what the law of assumption calls embodying the feeling. By visualizing success so clearly, you're training your brain. You're building focus, you're building motivation, you're priming yourself for action. So what we're left with are two fundamentally different ways to look at the exact same thing. Is it a law of the universe, or is it a law of the mind? Is it mindset or is it magic? So let's break it down. On one hand, you've got the metaphysical law view. The idea is that your thoughts just attract energy, straight up. But the potential downside here is huge. It can lead to some really toxic self-blame. If you get sick or lose your job, this philosophy says, well, that's on you and your thoughts. Then you've got the psychological tool view. Here, it works by training your brain to see opportunities and to stay motivated. The downside? Well, it's not a magic wand. It's a mental technique that still requires real-world action, and it offers absolutely no guarantees. And it is so important to understand these risks. Beyond that victim blaming, critics warn that a really rigid belief can lead to something called apophenia. That's when you start seeing meaningful patterns in totally random events. And what's more, some recent research has even linked a strong belief in manifestation with taking bigger financial risks, maybe because people think positive thoughts alone will save them from bad decisions. So at the end of the day, that's the real question at the heart of all this. Is this some kind of misunderstood cosmic principle that we're just now starting to tap into? Or is the true power simply a testament to the incredible and maybe still underestimated ability of our own minds to shape our focus, our motivation, and ultimately our actions? That's what we're left to think about. Thanks for watching.